half of the world's fish isn't caught by a boat like this. It's caught by small artisanal fishers like him, her, or them. Small-scale fisheries are part of our cultural heritage. For centuries, artisanal fisheries have been represented in paintings, literature, and even music.
When you think of a Mediterranean fishing port, you think of a small vessel there and a nice restaurant with some a fish and maybe a glass of wine. And so it's been part of the fabric of the region and the cultural heritage of the region for millennia, really, since Roman times.
You probably have a pretty clear image of what an artisanal fisher looks like, but defining the small-scale fisheries sector is more complicated than it seems. So what are small-scale fisheries?
That's the million-dollar question here.
If Anna Carlson says this, it's because there's no common definition at a global level or even at a regional level.
Generally, when we're talking about small-scale fisheries, we're talking about vessels up to around 12 meters and vessels using passive fishing gear. But you have a whole portion of small-scale fisheries that are also foot fishers or gleaners, as you will.
The size of the boat, fishing techniques, the distance fishers travel on their vessels, and the proximity to the consumer are some of the characteristics that define what a small-scale fisher is. But the sector is not just about people working on ships. Many people also work on shore. They are key to the value chain, but their work is often unnoticed. This is particularly true for women.
Women are quite active in fisheries, but they're less, let's say, immediately visible, often because they're not always doing the on-vessel work, but they're either working as shore fishers or they're working sort of a bit more behind the scenes.
All over the world, small-scale fishers face many challenges. But in the Mediterranean, the situation is particularly alarming. Catches have been decreasing since the 1980s. Climate change, pollution, and overfishing are just some of the reasons. And although small-scale fisheries represent 82% of the fleet there, the future of the profession is uncertain.
Fishers are aging. Over 52% of crew are over the age of 40, and that's an increase. In 2020, it was 49% of the crew. At the same time, you have 10% of the crew now are under the age of 25, whereas in 2020, that was 17% of the crews.
What has made this type of fishing less attractive over the years?
Small-scale fishers are not necessarily poor. Some can do quite well, but they are highly vulnerable. They're really vulnerable to shocks, unforeseen climate change, a big storm that might damage their vessel, or COVID.
They never know, one, when they can go fishing, and two, at the same time, how much fish they can catch. So it's always, for them, it's a gamble.
Fishing is actually one of the most dangerous jobs in the world. But this is not the only thing that discourages younger generations.
It is not because of this risk, but actually for the lack of prospects of future. And that is basically because of the lack of fish and all the rest of it. So we might be facing into the last generation of small-scale fishing sector.
It can also be hard for them to access financial services and key social protection services, such as unemployment benefits, health insurance, and old age pensions. As artisanal fishers retire or leave the profession, entire communities are affected.
The sector is not only a food provider, but it's also an economic backbone of coastal communities. So if the fishers disappear, many other economic sectors may disappear or may change a lot.
So how can they fight all these challenges?
The sector has to be innovative, it has to be different.
The small-scale fishing sector have the potential to be kind of the heart of this blue economy, but we have to realize and put them in the center.
One of their weapons is the knowledge they've acquired over centuries.
The fisherman has an innate already knowledge of how to respect the waters around him, or how to respect the fish that they catch.
This knowledge can help them adapt faster. The species they fish changed throughout the year, and so do the fishers' techniques. They've even managed to find new markets for some invasive ones, like the blue crab. New technologies have also helped fishers face some recent challenges. During COVID-19 restrictions, for example, some of them started using apps to connect with consumers. Fishers will also need to diversify their activities to become more self-sufficient. Some have already started doing that, using their vessels for other purposes like pesca tourism. The creation of new marine protected areas could also help secure the sector's future.
You can have a situation where it's win-win, where the fishers are actually able to maybe fish less but earn more, and the stocks are able to recover.
The next few years will be crucial to shaping the future of small-scale fisheries. What it will look like is not clear yet, but one thing is certain. Artisanal fisheries will be different to what we've known for centuries.
Perhaps it's not a future of fishing in the same way that's always been done in the past. But I think there's certainly ways to keep that culture alive and keep that livelihood tradition alive.